I want to just zoom into the actual warning here until 11:30 a.m. Basically, the entirety of Ocean County, and including extreme southern parts of Monmouth County until 11:30 a.m., so another 23 minutes or so. Storm moving north at 55 miles per hour. A tornado has been reported on the ground. This is not just radar-indicated rotation. We're seeing the rotation on radar, but this has been confirmed. A tornado actually on the ground, reported by professional weather spotters in that area near Barnegat, moving north at 55 miles per hour. So let me just go over some of these locations included within the tornado warning, just so you know where you really have to take cover. We're talking Toms River, Lakewood, Jackson, Barnegat, Beechwood, Lakehurst, Leisure Village, Holiday City South, Pleasant Plains, Cedar Glen West, Leisure Village East, Cassville, Woodruff, Holiday City, Berkeley area. Berkeley, by the way, had a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust last night with thunderstorms, so that area is really taking it in the chin. Bamber Lake, Cedar Glen Lakes, Whiting, Brookville, Pine Ridge at Crestwood, and Beach Haven West. If you're in any of those communities, I want you to get to a shelter immediately. And if you're in a shelter, go to the interior room on the lowest floor of your home or business. And again, it's between mile markers 61 and 90 on the Garden State Parkway. Some of the strongest rotation in this, let's go back to our shear markers here. Some of the strongest rotation in this just west of the Garden State Parkway in southern parts of Ocean County, New Jersey. Sam Champion joining us as well. Sam, we're on the dirty side of the storm right now. We're on the front right quadrant of a tropical system. And you know from your years of experience that that's not a good side to be if you don't want tornadoes, because we've had a tornado outbreak, especially to the south of our viewing area so far.
Yeah, we've had numerous tornado reports through Delaware and also through Maryland this morning. Jeff, you've been doing a great job tracking these storms. And it's the arm. If we can get to AccuTrack, I want to show you something that's going on here. Basically, the center of that storm is kind of working its way up to the north very rapidly. And you can see the dry area just south of Philly. That's what we're talking about with the center of the storm. Now, what Jeff has been tracking here are the storms that are kind of pulling in. Look at those lines. The line that's moving through Toms River, the line that's moving through Belmar right there. We'll show you that line. Let me just kind of get in here and show you from Princeton to Middletown to Manalapan to Belmar to Toms River. Those are just some thunderstorms, and they're feeding the center of the storm. But look at the area that Jeff's been showing you all the way down toward Atlantic City, and this area kind of does go up towards Tom River in where we've got that warned area. There's several spikes of this. So for folks who have been sitting there this morning and saying, look, I think the storm's going to stay to our south, I'm going to slide this down. I'm in an attempt to not make you crazy on your screens at home. But I just want to show you how we're filling in now all the way. Look at the storm from Morristown all the way to Union to New York. North Bergen's got some lighter rain, but we're just about to get that heavier rain moving all the way up through the area. So that warned storm that Jeff has been talking about near Toms River, going back to his area, that's where the tornado warning is right now. And so, folks, we're not really used to dealing with tornadoes in the air or on the ground. And as Jeff reported to you, this was a spotter who said, this is a tornado. It's on the ground in that area. So immediately, if you're in that area and because this storm is moving north, what I need you to do is be paying attention to what's happening. Turn your TV, crank it up, but move away from the TV into a place, a secure room away from any windows. I like a closet in the middle on the ground floor of your home. I like a bathroom. The reason I like these areas is because they're small, they're tight in construction, and they will be the areas that withstand the tough wind of a storm. So we have a good chance in doing that. The one thing I want everybody else to do right now as well, because we believe, Jeff and I have been watching this all morning long, we believe this isn't going to be our only tornado in the area or our only tornado warning in the area. So if you're listening to us and you're in the sound of New Jersey or in the sound of our voice in New Jersey all the way through New York and Connecticut and even Long Island, just kind of get a couple things together for us. One of them I like is a bike helmet. Make sure everybody has shoes on, because if you're going to be running around, there's going to be broken glass or you've got to get people in pretty quickly. You want all the kids to have shoes on. And if there's going to be any damage or debris, you want to protect everybody's heads. So I don't want to drive you crazy with this, but I just want you to know that we already do have storms in the area. I think we're going to have more of them. Jeff, take a look at what's behind that and tell me a little bit about what else we're seeing down to the south.
Well, we just got an update, Sam, on the location of this potentially confirmed tornado over Ocean County. That tornado warning, again, continues right through 11:30 a.m. for northwestern parts of Ocean County. The part of the tornado capable of producing a tornado, part of the thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado right now near Brookville. It's about 11 miles south of Toms River. When I talked to you before, it was 17 miles south of Toms River. Now it's only 11 miles south of Toms River. So this is just booking along, as we've been talking about, moving north at 55 miles per hour. Now it is considered radar indicated rotation, but we did have a confirmed report earlier of that tornado near Barnegat, but it's already moved. It's already basically crossed Ocean County from southern Ocean County to northern parts of Ocean County right now. But I want you to take cover. Like Sam was saying, move to an interior room, move to a closet, move to a bathroom, interior room. No windows, lowest floor of your home. That's the best place to be in this situation. Northwestern parts of Ocean County right now, that tornado warning remains in effect until 11:30 this morning. And Sam, you were mentioning what's going on to the south and west right now. A tremendous amount of heavy rainfall from Philadelphia to Allentown. And within this heavy rainfall, there are also areas of wind shear. These little green areas showing up just north of the Philadelphia area. That indicates rotation in the atmosphere, and that can continue kind of translating into our area during the next several hours. There's actually a tornado warning that was issued just between Philadelphia and Allentown. It looks like that warning for northern Ocean County has been allowed to expire, so that is good news. That's the latest here. The warning for northern Ocean County has been allowed to expire. But there's a lot more bad weather where that came from. The band over Ocean and Monmouth and Middlesex and Somerset and Hunterdon, that's moving up toward New York City very rapidly right now, and that can contain these spin-ups. There's a tremendous amount of spin in the atmosphere right now ahead of Isaias as it moves up the Chesapeake Bay and toward our region. And then right around the center of the storm, we've had some of the strongest wind gusts recorded so far, upwards of 90 miles per hour down over parts of the Chesapeake Bay. And we're going to be on the eastern side of it. This is going to be the windier side of the storm.
Absolutely.
As it makes its way into northwest New Jersey, probably by 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. The heaviest rains along and west of that storm track, so flash flooding can definitely be an issue western New Jersey into the Poconos and the Catskills. Sam?
And Jeff, we've been talking all day long, and I want people to know this as well. The storm's moving a little faster, so we've got a tough next couple of hours, but the clearing will happen a little faster as well. We've had a lot of people on the roads this morning because we were on the dry side of the storm. So just make a call to all your family and friends and get them off the roads, because you can see that rain that's lifting pretty quickly toward the New York City area, and it's also going to catch a good part of Brooklyn, Bronx, and Queens. Nassau County is going to get caught in some of this rain in short order. So you have about 30 or 40 minutes before some of the tougher rain that's in central New Jersey kind of spiraling up that way. And those are the warm-stormed area that Jeff has been talking about before all of that action starts to sweep into the city. So just call everybody, get them close to the house, and then just kind of settle in, because this is going to be our toughest part of the day with this storm. At one point, we may have been thinking it was an all-day event for us, but it's moving so quickly, and the banding is so evident with this storm. We can see the trouble lines that we're going to get into. So we're watching that storm from Trenton all the way into Toms River right now, and that was the tough storm that we just had the warning out. But now some of that action is lifting into Belmar, Edentown, Middletown's got some, Edison's got some heavy rain, and Plainfield. So we're in this, and then there's going to be a little break as well. You can see that break that drops from Toms River to Lacey, and if you're looking at the AccuTrack, it drops a little bit south of that. Stafford's got an open spot right now, Little Egg Harbor, Tuckerton. That's all just south into southern Ocean County. But you're going to see some of that dry moment, and then you're going to catch another little line spark through. So we're going to have several hours of this to go. Just want everybody in the house, want everybody paying attention. This is not a normal thunderstorm. This is not a normal situation for us.
Hey, Sam, we just got a report from Harvey Cedars on the Jersey Shore down at Long Beach Island of sustained winds of 50 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So we easily have tropical storm force sustained winds within that really strong band that's moving from Ocean County into Monmouth and eventually up into New York City. A lot of people have been tweeting me from New York City, where's the storm? Well,
yeah,
guess what? It's
exactly.
going to be here in about 45 minutes. I mean, this is going to go downhill really, really quickly. And there's a live look right now from our Asbury Park cam. You can see the camera shaking. You can see the water really rough out there coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. And, I mean, it's just going to be going downhill in a hurry.
That's the best vantage point for this, Jeff, and I'm really glad we're talking about it, because we've got so many storms that we're dealing with inland that we almost have not been talking about the coastal situation. Remember, our low tides are coming right around 3 o'clock this afternoon. And if we look at the new time period of this storm, the center of rotation of that storm will put it to the west, almost kind of on a parallel point with the city by about 3 o'clock. So at the peak of when this wave action and the wind will be pulling on shore at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, o'clock on into 3, that would be, if we were at high tide, we'd be in a tough situation for water moving into the battery, for water getting onto Nassau County, Suffolk County, and also being pulled into within the next couple of hours, like 4 to 5 o'clock. The wind direction will be in the right point that we start shoving that wind down into Long Island Sound. But the good news about this is we don't see another high tide cycle until about 9 o'clock. So though we are going to chop up the waters there, we are going to tear up our beaches a little bit with this constant pounding onshore. As things settle down late tonight, that looks really good. I like the look at 9 o'clock tonight with just a few scattered thunderstorms that are back off through Pennsylvania, and those wind streams further apart, a little bit calmer. But for the next several hours, some tough winds right along the shoreline, and the only good news I have for that, Jeff, is that we are in that lower tide cycle than we would be had it happened this morning or later on tonight.
Exactly, yeah. You hit it right on the head, Sam. That high tide happening early this evening. Wind switches into a southwesterly direction. It won't be screaming in from the southeast like it will be during the afternoon hours. Just another quick look at that radar. I know right now, Sam, that all tornado warnings have been allowed to expire, but boy, I'm seeing a lot of storms that look like they may begin to rotate. This one included here over northern parts of Ocean County that had the confirmed tornado earlier over Barnegat. This is moving into southwestern parts of Monmouth County. Even if it doesn't have a tornado, it probably has some really, really strong winds being translated down to the surface. This is crossing over I-195 right on the border there of Ocean and Monmouth counties in New Jersey. And then, of course, you get all that heavy rainfall. I mean, it is just coming down probably 1 to 2 inches per hour over western parts of New Jersey, Hunterdon, Warren, moving into southern parts of Morris, moving into Somerset County right now. And some of those heavy bands of rain just starting to move into New York City as well. Look at this heavy band here moving into say Jamaica Bay, southern
right
parts of
there.
Queens, down by JFK Airport. So for those of you who maybe been asking, where's our storm? Well, here it is. It's entering the city right now. It's knocking on our door.
The other thing, Jeff, that we should point out, too, is that just because the tornado warning expired in that storm doesn't mean that that storm won't pop something out as it moves north.
Right.
So what I like to tell people is when we're following the track of a storm, we follow it all the way through, and you can see that rain. The rain that we were talking about, I'm going to get on the AccuTrack here and just kind of follow it up a little bit, because that same system that just triggered that warning that we were talking about in Toms River has now pushed into Jackson and Belmar. So as Jeff was pointing out, that's some very heavy rain. Now, there's not a tornado in it that we know of right now working north, but he just pointed out that there could be some very strong winds with it, and likely that there are, and we're talking about downpours of rain. So if you've got family out right now and they have not returned to the house, send them a quick text and tell them to get themselves on home. If they're too far away from home, I'd just like to get everybody off the roads. We're about to have some real hard problems with standing water and flooding in poor drainage areas, and so the better thing for you to do is just pull over someplace and get off the roads right now. Remember, you don't really want to be sitting in a car if you've got a warned tornado, but if you're talking to people, make sure that they're getting off the roads is my point. And everybody get ready for this next couple of hours, because these storms are going to get a little intense, and the heavy rain will become a real problem where it hasn't been for us earlier this morning. Jeff?
Sam, another area where we're seeing some rotation is indicated by our shear markers. You see that green within those oranges and reds. That's over Mercer County, New Jersey, not too far from the Trenton area. So it's moving off to the north. It's moving off to the northwest. So I would really keep an eye out. Southern parts of Somerset, southern parts of Hunterdon County. I would not be surprised if this storm actually pops a tornado during the next few minutes, because there is some strong rotation being indicated on radar. The good news is that one over Northern Ocean, we've kind of lost some of the rotation on radar. Still a little bit showing up, but you can't rule out another spin up. I mean, these can happen so quickly. Think about it. These storms are moving 55, 65 miles per hour off to the north. They're translating that fast. Once a tornado develops, once a funnel cloud reaches all the way down to the ground, I mean, it can move from one location to another so quickly. So Monmouth County and even into parts of Middlesex County, I would definitely keep an eye on this situation. Let me go over to our warnings really quick. Yeah, no current tornado warnings, but we've been talking about the rain, Sam, and there's a flash flood warning that has been issued for southern parts of Hunterdon, southwestern Middlesex, southern Somerset, western parts of Monmouth, northwestern parts of Ocean County, New Jersey, with that really heavy band moving into that area.
And this is not our normal rainfall, Jeff. You know, this is tropical laden moisture. So any of these rainstorms are going to drop 2 inches of rain in a heartbeat. I mean, this is real. You're going to look at this and think, wow, this is crazy. And this is what folks in Florida deal with all the time, with all this moisture in the atmosphere ready to go. When you drop a rain, it's going to be 2 inches of rain easy here. So we're going to see a lot of that in the next hour or so. And this is our peak time period. I know it's been quiet, and I know we haven't had to worry about it much. And the rain looked like it was going to stay well to our west. And some of the heaviest rain will. But this is where we start to get our collection. You know that we've been in the 2 to 4 zone for quite some time. We've had the idea that from the city, west certainly, and a little little bit north, that we would get about 2 to 4 inches of rain. We had that line of thunderstorms this morning. We've got the rain right now. This rain will stay in the area until about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that'll be enough to collect those totals, Jeff.
Sam, a little bit north of Philadelphia, Wayne, Pennsylvania, we just had a report of flash flooding in that area. And, you know, that whole band is kind of translating off to the north again over western New Jersey and then the Poconos and the Catskills. And these are areas, you know, especially up in the mountains, you have these smaller streams and they can flood so quickly when you get rainfall coming down at this rate of 1 to 2 and even 3 inches per hour. And like you were saying, Sam, this air is deep from the tropics. We have dew points well into the 70s. The storm has so much moisture to work with right now. We even had a report earlier today of over 8 inches of rain. I believe it was Talbot County, Maryland.
Wow, I did not see that.
So you can just
crazy.
You can just imagine how hard that rain was coming down, and it was in a relatively short period of time too, and everything's kind of translating off to the north. I want to just draw for you here exactly where the axis of heaviest rain seems to be setting up. So we're talking about through eastern parts of Pennsylvania, but also extending into western parts of New Jersey as well and into the Catskills. So that's the area under the gun for the rainfall. In terms of the wind, I think coastal areas are going to be experiencing the highest wind gusts, especially really exposed areas to a southeast wind. We're talking the Jersey Shore, you know, coastal Monmouth, coastal Ocean counties, definitely getting some strong winds out there. We've already had 50-mile-per-hour sustained winds down at Harvey Cedars on LBI. And then translating onto Long Island as well, the South Shore of Long Island, and also some of the coastal areas of New York City, down by Breezy Point and Coney Island. Breezy Point will be living up to its name this afternoon as we get some of those really strong winds, which could even be gusting up to 70 miles per hour in a couple of spots.
Yeah, Jeff, speaking of the winds, we've got some video coming in. Middlesex County Road of trees down in the winds in that area.
Wow, there you go.
And we've got a couple of different things to talk about wind here. Because when Jeff mentions things like you're going to get a 70-mile-per-hour gust along the coast, yes, indeed, you will. And you're not going to have the rain necessarily that some inland areas will, although you'll also see a couple of storms move on by. But in the storms that are inland right now, we've got strong winds. And though they're not the standalone winds with the storm like 70 miles per hour, in these thunderstorms, it's very easy to see wind gusts in excess of 55, 65 miles per hour. Now, those winds on saturated ground like we've got right now will bring these trees right down. And that's why we believe we're going to have more scenes like what you just saw on the road right there. And those trees take power lines down, and then you're going to have power outages as well. We're in this for the next few hours. And what I want people to know who might be tuning in is that from right now all the way until about 3 o'clock this afternoon, it looks like this is going to be our peak with the storm, and it's moving fast. And it's also, Jeff, if I'm looking at the center of circulation here, it's slipping a little bit to the east, and it was forecasted to move a little bit more north. So what I'm seeing is it looks like to me, and you tell me if you see it or not, because I'm happy to be corrected if you don't see it. But I'm looking at this thing sliding, shifting just a little bit to the east more than I anticipated it when I saw it.
You know, it does. It's almost like it's following the path of least resistance up the Delaware Valley toward Philadelphia, instead of just shooting straight up through some of the more mountainous terrain and hilly terrain northwest of Philadelphia. So if it does shift a little bit to the east, that can bring more of our area into play with that exceedingly heavy rainfall. Again, we had that report of over 8 inches of rain in parts of Maryland, Talbot County, Maryland, earlier this morning. So that's all kind of moving off to the north right now. I'm going to check some of our weather reports. That we just have a slew of weather reports. Let me check some of these rainfall reports we've had. Just getting some just north of Philadelphia. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, look
Skip
at that.
Hack, just north of Philadelphia. 1 inch of rain in the past 15 minutes, 6 inches total. That is incredible. So there's some really incredible rainfall rates occurring not too far from Philly. And we're also getting some new reports here of some of the wind speeds here. Let's see, Ben Salem, by the way, Pennsylvania, 4.5 inches of rain since 7 o'clock in the morning. One of the creeks there rising sharply. Northeast Philadelphia, numerous trees and wires down. And also in Ocean County, we've had a lot of reports. In Ocean County, New Jersey, Ship Bottom, 45-mile-per-hour sustained wind at Long Beach Island. And that was, of course, the same area pretty close to where that tornado potentially touched down, as confirmed by weather spotters. So we're, like you said, Sam, we're in this for the next few hours. We might see the sun peek out, though, by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's moving so quickly. But from now until, say, 3 p.m., we are under the gun.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, we've got, actually, we have some eyes on Asbury Park right now because our Dan Krauth is down there. Dan, I think you're set up to go live. If you are and you can hear us, just go ahead and start talking about what you see around you, Dan. We've been talking about some really tough storms and rain in that area, but also the coastal effects are probably a little bit stronger where you are than on up the coast.
Well, I can tell you, Sam, conditions definitely deteriorated here over the past 30 minutes very quickly. The winds really are causing some damage through this area. I want to show you the whitecaps right now hitting the beach right now. They've grown tremendously over the past few minutes. The winds are just whipping through here through this boardwalk. This is an area known for its shops, its arcades, and its boardwalk. But Brett, if you can pan over here behind me, you can see that it's all shut down. Here's another big wind gust coming through our area. One of the major concerns out here right now is projectiles. We saw a few garbage cans and also a few light posts fly around here. So we are being very cautious right now, and that's what you should be doing as well. Hopefully you're home watching this from the comforts of your own home. This area is completely shut down. The wind gusts have picked up here dramatically over the past few minutes. And if you can see over here to my right, the seagrass, that's just how strong these winds are. Now, depending on where you're standing, you might think it's okay, but when you're hit with one of these gusts of wind, it can really knock your head off, so to speak. It happened to me a few times, and I went chasing after it. Right now, we know that there are three big concerns. The wind causing power outages. Right now in New Jersey, 100,000 people without power. The rain and storm surge is also a concern. And number three, what you talked about, possible tornadoes. And you can just hear those wind gusts right now, and we're expecting conditions to deteriorate even further here over the next few minutes. We will be here to let you know what happens. I've covered a lot of tropical storms and hurricanes in my day, and as we know, when the storm passes, it's a big concern, but also it's a concern as to what happens after. Staying away from power lines, staying away from storm surge, and also taking cover if any tornadoes do pass through the area. And as another huge gust hits us, we're going to send it back to you in the studio.
And thanks, Dan. And it's something to point out here because I can see people behind you, certainly. And it's not that it's physically impossible to get outside, but you just pointed out the danger. So it's fine where you're standing right now. All the storms that I've covered, Dan, what you've got to do is keep an eye out for what is blowing around you. Dan, you showed us the seagrass that's off to the side. Can you show us a little bit on the beach? I just want to see a little bit of what's happening off from where you are. I guess that would be off to your left, off to the coast, if your cameraman can kind of show us that way. I just kind of want to see what it looks like, what the white caps look like a little bit, because we haven't had as much coastal impact out of this yet, but I still feel like we're going to have a lot of beach erosion and some high waves and high surf out of it.
You're exactly right. I'm head photographer Brett right now. Zoom over here to my left to show you those white caps hitting the beach, and I have a feeling that erosion will be a problem. A lot of sand is hitting us each time a large gust whips through this area. Right now, there isn't a soul that I can see technically on the beach, of course. They're all shut down right now. No one should be anywhere near the beach. But there are a lot of people that came out here to take pictures to get a glimpse of this storm because they feel like it's safe right now. But as these winds continue to pick up, this is nowhere that anyone really wants to be right now. Really large whitecaps here hitting the beach, and there is a lot of sand whipping at us in this direction. As you saw earlier, the seagrass flying back and forth. Right now, what we do when we're covering a storm like this is my photographer, who's behind the lens, his camera is behind a wall. So he's looking out for me and I am looking out for him. So for all these people who are out here right now, they really shouldn't be, because projectiles are a concern right now. As we talked about, the three major concerns, the high winds, 100,000 people already without power, and this storm isn't even through our area yet.
Hey guys, this is Jeff up in the Weather Center.
Also, of course, those tornadoes.
We just got a really dramatic report a little bit down the shore from you in Wildwood, down at the southern tip of New Jersey. A roof is actually coming off the Montego Bay Hotel. Speaking of flying projectiles. Yeah. So these are the winds that are going to be spreading north, and you saw obviously Dan get into some of those really strong wind gusts. Sam?
Yeah, so if you're talking about Wildwood further down the beach, and notice that Dan is in Asbury Park. Right. So we're going to have those conditions move up the beach a little bit. And so again, I don't tell you to go inside because I don't want you to have fun. I'm telling you to go inside because you're not in the worst of the weather yet. And as soon as these winds pick up and a roof goes away or a power line snaps or a trash can gets picked up, you were having a great time and you were taking a lot of great Instagram videos, and then you get hit by something like that. So what we're trying to do is make sure that you're okay in this storm. And I get it, it's not a Cat 4 hurricane, but in every one of these storms, when you got 50, 60 mile per hour winds and the possible of a tornado spin up, these are dangerous, and they could be deadly if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I'd really just rather you get inside and wait this out. You only have a few hours. We're going to be in this until about 2 or 3 o'clock for sure. And by the time we get to 5 or 6 o'clock, we're going to be opening those skies. Jeff has been teasing us with some brighter looking skies and even some sunshine at that point. Jeff, before we turn this over to regular programming and get ready for the noon show, is there anything that you can see that, you know, you've been doing the radar survey about tornadoes and storms that we need to get folks warned on?
Well, actually, there's a cell located just southeast of Long Island, actually just moving on shore, parts of Jamaica Bay, Queens, that has had a little bit of rotation with it. So that's something we got to watch. Is moving right over parts of New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, this is moving into Astoria, Queens, into parts of the Upper East Side right now. This could have a little bit of rotation in it. Nothing strong indicated on radar. We've had some rotating thunderstorms over Mercer County, moving into southern parts of Hunterdon County, New Jersey. So these could be particularly severe, moving toward West Amwell and East Amwell. Definitely, take cover in those areas. At the very least, these storms are bringing down some of the really strong winds from aloft. Sam?
All right, Jeff and I will be tag teaming on some of these storms for you because we've got a lot of action still ahead during the noon show. Sandra Bookman is in the studio. Sandra, what have you got for us?
All right, Sam, we are going to wrap things up. Thank you, Sam, Jeff, Dan, keeping an eye on this storm. And of course, we will continue to follow Isaias as it makes its way up the East Coast throughout the afternoon. You are looking right now at the power of this storm. These are pictures from Wildwood in New Jersey. That's just how strong that wind is whipping around right now. What appears to be some sort of tarp, I believe, or is that a roof over a building in Wildwood, New Jersey? This is what we're talking about this afternoon as we follow Isaias up the East Coast. These are pictures from outside our studio on the Upper West Side. The rain coming down hard now, as you heard Jeff and Sam say. The storm is slowly making its way into the New York City area, and we will continue to track it. We are also following some other news this afternoon. The resignation of New York City's health commissioner, Oxiris Barbeau, has resigned. She, at some point, was controversial during this pandemic. We will have the latest on that, as well as we have reporters around the area tracking the storm. We will see you in about half an hour on Eyewitness News at noon.